Joining us now on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Jennifer Brown. Jennifer is running for chairman of the 6th District Republican Party of Virginia. This election will be at the May convention. I got to get the date on this, but this is the convention that will coincide with the congressional race convention. I think there's 8 candidates in it vying to be on the ballot as a Republican to replace Bob Goodlatte. The 3 leading candidates, I'm not even going to mention the others, they can't win. The 3 leading candidates, Chaz Haywood, clerk of court, Harrisonburg. The favorite, Cynthia Dunbar, the state committee woman from Virginia, previously ran for Congress in Texas. Dunbar, the clear favorite here in a convention, no question. She has the best convention operation that I can see. And then Ben Klein, House of Delegates member from the Lynchburg area. And the first order of business is the current chairman of the Republican Party of the 6th District, and I'll get Jennifer to give you the details, put forth a rules change to go from a majority of convention delegates, 50% plus one in order to settle on a nominee, to a plurality. With 8 candidates in the race, that means technically somebody could win that convention with 16%, technically. How you can unify a party when somebody wins in hand-to-hand combat with 16% is beyond me. So I think it's stupid, but that's what it is right now till that changes. Anyway, Jennifer is challenging that chairman. We're going to get you all the details now. Joining us live, Lynchburg, Jennifer Brown. Jennifer, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, give us the details on this race. Who are the candidates, and what is your pathway to victory?
Well, all 8 candidates, like you mentioned, are, like you said, Cynthia Dunbar, Ben Klein, Chaz Haywood. We also have Doug Wright, who is a dentist from Harrisonburg. We have Ed Justo, who is an attorney from Harrisonburg. We have Catherine Lewis from the Bedford area. She lives in Forest, and she owns her own business. We have Mike Desjardins, who works in the healthcare sector. And we also have Elliot Pope, who owns his own business in construction. So we have 8 candidates that are all vying for this seat, and I've met with all of them. They are great candidates. They're very passionate about going forth with the political process, and it's just so encouraging to see that these new candidates, many of which are very young, are all very excited and engaging in politics. We need more youth and we need more younger voices in order to be able to start getting the youth and the millennials that we fail as Republicans to get.
Okay, so you're running for chairman of the 6th District, okay? Mm-hmm. Tell us who the incumbent is and why you're challenging him.
All right. The current chairman is Scott Sayer, and he's held this position for the last 2 years. And the reason why, well, there's multiple reasons why I'm running. And the reason that's most predominant is that we have failed in the last 2 elections to really get behind our candidates and push them forward to victory. While we won the White House, of course, Virginia lost the race. And that is due to the fact that we had a lot of people in Northern Virginia, Richmond, in the Tidewater area just come out for the opposition. But we did not have leadership really pushing the message of our nominee throughout the 6th District. I was at every single rally that was held in the 6th District, and there was definitely an absence of presence. And that's just not how we do things as Republicans. We have to support our nominees, especially if you're going to be in a leadership position. And second of all, with this last election where we lost embarrassingly and we did not win the governor's mansion, we did not have presence again. And so we just really need to focus on how we're going to win, how we're going to support our candidates, and a lot of that has to do with the messaging. And so that's my second reason, is because we're not getting our messaging out. We are not creating our own narrative. We're having the opposition create the narrative for us. And the only reason why we're not getting it out there is because we're not using the tools that are at our disposal to be able to get the messaging out there. We have Facebook, we have a website. That is it. And they're not even being fully utilized. We need to embrace social media. We have people who are constantly connected to their phone devices, their tablets, and also social media. If we're not reaching out to more voters and we are not gathering new voters, our opposition will, and they have been. They've been ahead of the game for about 10 years, and we need to start putting some skin in the game. We're not even in the parking lot of the arena. We need to start embracing these new ways of being able to reach new voters, and we need to start using them now rather than later. And I understand that the current leadership, when I've spoken to them, they don't really understand and comprehend all of the aspects of the social media that's out there. Well, I do. And I also speak to the younger generations of leaders where they say, listen, there's these apps that are constantly being used. There are these methods that are constantly being used. And why don't we do that too? Well, that's a good question. Why don't we? So I want to be able to embrace the youth, embrace our future generations of leaders like our CRs and our YRs, work with them, and gain their knowledge on the technology that is out there being used today and use it for our purposes, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to outvote and outmotivate and gather new voters.
All right, Jennifer, let me get this straight. So you're criticizing 6th Congressional District GOP leadership on the various campaigns. Mm-hmm. Well, Trump won the 6th district by a huge margin over Clinton in 2016. So I don't get the beef here.
Well, it's not really a beef, and I'm not trying to criticize. Let me clarify that. It's just that there was a lack of presence. There were multiple issues that were going forward within the 6th district where we were not going out there and pumping out the narrative and the message, because there was a lack of presence in a lot of the different areas. Now, yes, the voters came out despite that fact, and the voters heard the message that Trump was putting out there. And so when the voters were responding to the message that President Trump was putting out there, they came out in force. But that was because of his messaging, his methodology, and also those who were within the 6th district that worked for his campaign. But there were many that worked his campaign here in the 6th district that said they were not getting any help from the current leadership. And that's across the board. And so we need to do better, that we're not just focusing on the campaign individuals doing the work when we ourselves within the unit have to also help them be able to achieve their goals. So yes, the 6th district rocked it as far as the voters coming out because of the Trump campaign personnel that were here within the 6th district. But like I said, when you have multiple people with the campaign saying that they did not have any help from current leadership, that poses a problem.
I don't get the race here, Jennifer. I'm going to be blunt. Goodlatte got 67% of the vote in 2016. Mm-hmm. Trump got 65%. I mean, to sit there and say there's no leadership, I mean, what are you telling me, that you're going to get 90%? I mean, Goodlatte got 67% of the vote. I mean, I'm interested in your campaign. It's just a tough argument to say that, you know, Scott Sayer's not delivering the message when you guys are getting 67, 68%. I don't know what the max is there, 85, I don't know. But what bothered me about the leadership there gets to this convention and the fact that they tried to pull a fast one by changing the rules, or by setting the rules, not changing them because they can do what they want, by setting the rules to say that the nominee of the 6th district of the Republican Party of Virginia for Congress can be nominated in a one ballot plurality that clearly is designed to favor Cynthia Dunbar and is counter to the way all conventions that I've ever seen has ever been run. I mean, I really thought that was a lack of true statesmanship and leadership, and a bunch of people basically jumping on a rule that they're trying to manipulate to favor Cynthia Dunbar. And so I thought the basis of your campaign was fairness, which I think you've got something to run on, because Sayer obviously backed this rule change. Now, it doesn't matter because at the convention, when is it? May
19th.
What is it? Right. It's May 19th on a Saturday. We'll be there broadcasting live. It's May 19th on a Saturday. Obviously, though, the convention goers there are going to have the opportunity to, one, change the rule back to a majority, 50% plus one, and then they'll also be electing a new state chairman. I don't see how your campaign gains any traction when Republicans are winning there with 68%. I don't understand it. Help me figure this out.
Okay, so I'm not unrealistic in thinking that I'm going to get 90% of the turnout. What I have heard from across the board within the 6th District is that they've been very frustrated with the way leadership has not been helpful in getting messaging out. There have been many people who have told me they have left
you say they're not getting their messaging out. Goodlatte got 67%. Trump got 65%. I mean, what better messaging can you have than those kind of results?
Well, I mean, obviously you have the voters coming out no matter what, and that's great because we have the nominee who's getting his message out if nobody else is, just like we have right now with the mainstream media. But my purpose is that we have people who have been disenfranchised, disillusioned, and disgusted, and they have just left the committees as a whole. So I want to bring them back into the fold so that we can pump out more volume. 90%, yeah, that would be great, but I'm not going to say, yes, that's what I'm going to get. But we can build that up. We can always build up. But as far as the convention is concerned, the people that I've spoken to who have left and also who are still in the fold have said they are incredibly frustrated because of the little snafu or little trick that they tried to pull over at the 6th District meeting, where they tried to put in the rules for a plurality vote. They had constantly campaigned about being a convention purist, that's what they are all about, convention. When we finally get that convention, all of a sudden then they decide that they're going to put in this plurality vote, and that is not what a convention is all about. Obviously, people who are convention purists realize that it's a majority vote. We're going to go to multiple ballots. That's how you build up coalitions to be able to get out of the convention with more than 17-20% behind one nominee. So you have more to build up on going into the general election. So when this rule came in, and I was there at the meeting, the tension was high. People were not happy. People were arguing because this is not what we do as Republicans, and this is not what we do as convention purists. This is a primary disguised as a convention because they want to be able to go with one ballot, one vote, move on, and see what we can do to try to build that up going into November. And people saw it for what it was. They argued about it. And what was really surprising is that we have leadership who is saying, well, I work for a certain campaign, and this is just smoke and mirrors that we're arguing back and forth with this because you all don't want to have just one ballot. Well, that's not how we do things, and even General Counsel back in 2012 stated that you cannot put this into the rules package. You have to go forward with the convention, allow the delegates to vote for the rules. And it was confirmed again with this current General Counsel who said that he backs up the 2012 opinion. So right now, we are at a standstill as to, is it going to be plurality? Is it going to be majority?
You're not at a standstill, Jennifer. That's going to be determined by the delegates that come in, that
Correct.
sign up and come in to the convention on May 19th, right? Correct. So you're running against Scott Sayer, and all of this is going to be determined at this convention, basically. So
Correct.
The delegates come in, there's going to be an immediate call for changing the rules, and in order to change them to make the winner come from a majority, you're going to have to get 50% plus one. So here's just the deal. Let me just bottom line it. So if Cynthia Dunbar has over 50%, all is moot. She's going to win that vote, and then she's going to be the nominee. I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt that's going to happen. Dunbar is going to get under 50%. So the Klein, Haywood people and yourself have to be able to explain to the delegates they're better off not going home after one ballot. That's going to be part of their argument. Hey, just vote one time and get the hell home on a Saturday and go spend time with your family. So you're going to have to get that done, and you're going to have to change the rules so that it becomes a majority. Somebody has to get to 50%, and that's likely to end in a two-person battle between Haywood and Dunbar or Klein and Dunbar, most likely Klein and Dunbar. And then obviously conventional thinking says if the Chaz people or the Klein people go with either of those candidates, they can possibly win when you get some of the other 5 candidates in there. The other thing that'll be decided is the chairman of the 6th district. All right. Sayer is for Dunbar. So if Dunbar has 40 or 45% of those delegates off the bat, Sayer's going to win. So your pathway to victory is to get everybody else, because the Dunbar people are going to back Scott Sayer. Right now, I just got to tell you, your message doesn't do anything for me. It's just not exciting. It's like telling me that they're not messaging. I mean, they're getting 68%. I think if your campaign is based on being fair and opening it up to more people and not being a closed club, I think you have a shot. But saying that they have poor messaging and they're getting 68%, I just don't buy it.
Well, again, we're not looking at the candidate, we're looking at the leadership. If the candidate's getting their message out there, then that has nothing to do with the current leadership, because that's...
Well, they're getting 68%. To me, your campaign has got to be based on opening the doors of fairness and making it bigger instead of smaller. And I think the current leadership there, led by Scott Sayer, it really bothered me that they went with this rules change, which favors a single candidate, and that's Cynthia Dunbar. I have no axe to grind with Cynthia.
Right.
But I think when you start manipulating rules in order to favor a candidate, that is everything that's bad about Republican Party leadership. All right? Open the thing up. Let's have a convention. Let's make it fair. Let's make it 50%, just like it always is, so that somebody can't win with 18% and everybody's fighting with each other. Let's do it the right way. And hopefully, Jennifer, you'll be the candidate that'll be leading that effort. I'm out of time. I got to take off. People want information. Where do they go?
Well, they go on to either Jennifer M. Brown for 6th District Chair on Facebook. They can also email me at jmbfor6dc@gmail.com. And if they want to be able to get the calls and the pre-file forms in order to start filing to become a delegate, which they need to do as soon as possible, they can go on to the 6th District GOP.org site to get the calls.